we've got football. Football is king, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive in. We've got the divisional round recap, the playoffs. And on Saturday, you had Houston losing to Kansas City 23-14, and Washington with the huge upset over Detroit 45-31. That was a barn burner. What did you think about the Saturday games, fellas?
Man, I you know what's funny is on Thursday, I think I was making coffee and I was like, I know we already made our picks, but I kind of want to flip Washington to try and win. And I had thought about it and I was like, well, it's moot at this point. But I was like, something tells me I feel like that quote of "I'll see you in 2 weeks" is really gonna bite him in the ass, given the whole Viking situation. And boy, was I right! Golly, yeah, I loved it, man. It gave my team home field advantage. I know we'll get to that shortly here. So, Jade Daniels a real deal, and as a Raiders fan, you got to be really annoyed seeing that because you knew what could have been, but brighter days ahead, hopefully for the Raiders going forward here. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that there's no way in hell the Raiders are going to be able to move up to 2 or 1. I mean, I just think there's no way in hell Washington was going to move that pick.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, the Raiders could have called and knocked and pounded and,
held at gunpoint. It wasn't going to matter. Yeah.
It don't matter.
Well, more or less it was getting those wins last season that you absolutely didn't need, Of
course. But you if you get the quarterback, you probably get the offensive coordinator, right? So I think with Cliff Kingsbury, that's what derailed his time with the Raiders was there was no guarantee that they were going to be able to get Jaden Daniels. And then the guaranteed year on his contract, but we'll talk about coaching stuff later.
Yeah. And then as far as the Chiefs and the Texans game, that one was kind of boring. I think I said it in the group chat.
You mean the refs? Winning that game again for the Chiefs, like always.
Yeah. It happens. We're not surprised anymore. I think that there were questionable calls all over the damn place in that one. Obviously, the more impactful ones happen for the Chiefs, as it kind of happens for them too. They keep finding a way to get the boring, uninspired win, and here they are, 7th year in a row in the AFC title game. Man,
you know what's bad though when Troy Aikman on live TV says, "Oh, come on." Even he's fed up with this.
Well, it was bad. Yeah. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying it was good. It was, or even
the thing that
but it just
is irritating is, when the quarterback is running out of bounds and intentionally stops bounds to draw a penalty, or 2 guys going for a tackle, they tackle each other, don't even hit the quarterback, and then they throw the flag.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I'm like, dude, what are you supposed to do? And if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're going to do that all day, every day, because you're getting the calls.
Yeah. It behooves you to do it. Yeah. Until they don't give him those calls.
We've seen other quarterbacks do this, the whole stutter step at the sideline. You're seeing it from the position. And unless the NFL, does something about it, you're just going to see it. And it's terrible for the game.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, agreed. All right, I think that's enough on Saturday. We had Tyler's Eagles get the win 28-22 over the Rams, and Buffalo holds on in a nail biter 27-25 over Baltimore. So let's talk about your boys, Tyler.
I mean, it's a snow game. You expect the running game to pop off, and it did pop off. We just had the better running back. Saquon Barkley just shattering records left and right in this historic season for him. So I know it's a quarterback kind of award, but man, I don't know how you overlook Saquon Barkley as a possible MVP candidate. I know it's probably going to go to maybe Josh Allen or a quarterback of any stature, even Lamar. But again, I mean, we don't win that game if it's not for Saquon Barkley. So hats off. I mean,
turns out that was a a good guy to sign in the offseason, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who would
Thank
have
you, Giants.
thought?
I know, right? Like
That's
I
crazy,
know
Bach,
I
to
know
sign
the
an
quarterback.
all-pro,
Yeah.
Pro Bowl running back or keep
All
a Pro
world.
Bowl, all-pro
Yeah.
running back. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean, the Giants, they really shit the bed on that one, man. It's just it's wild. And I like that the Eagles kind of like started really feeding Saquon like in the second half of the season, especially, and then especially in this game. It's like, hey, you have this, fucking use it. You have this amazing tool in the toolbox. Let's fucking use it, man. You know, and who'da thunk, you know?
Mhm.
As for the Baltimore Buffalo game, Lamar Jackson showed up. This loss was not
Yes.
on Lamar Jackson. Anybody who tries to say otherwise, they're full of shit, man. Because he put the ball on Mark Andrews for that game tying 2-point conversion, and Mark Andrews ended up dropping it. You know, and there obviously there were other times too where they could have got the win, but Buffalo they held court, man. They did what they needed to do to get the win. And I was the only one that picked that game right. So, all right, enough of that. Yeah. So that was there was your weekend, man. That was a lot of fun to watch in the end, like especially Sunday, the nightcap, especially, and the Philly and Rams game. That was, you know, like it had its moments too, but I think it definitely the weekend got better. Each game, like the first game was boring as shit. Then it was a little bit better on Saturday night. A lot of offense, you know, kind of washed the stink off of that first game. And then both games on Sunday were pretty damn good, actually. So I think they got the scheduling order right too, because the night games were definitely the more exciting ones.
Agreed.
To be sure. So yeah, the NFL got it right, I guess, in terms of when to schedule them. They got lucky, I guess. The script was written properly, however you want to phrase it. Yeah, so I guess let's talk a little bit about just kind of what has happened in the week leading up to these games, and just kind of around the league. We have the Bears this morning hiring Ben Johnson is going to be the head coach there.
No.
God, please, no.
God, please, no.
Insert my Michael Scott.
Yeah.
No.
But I think it's to your point, Sam. It's the quarterback situation. You know, I fully believe that if the Raiders had a good quarterback or a young, inspiring quarterback that you feel like you could build around, Ben Johnson would have been your head coach.
Well, I mean, it's 20 years of itchy trigger finger. You know, like that was one of the reasons why I said, you know, right when the season started, I think it made sense to keep Antonio Pierce. Let him, because he was the secret sauce was Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels. So like, don't crucify Antonio Pierce because of the record, what it turned out to be. His pick was Cliff Kingsbury. Like he had him.
He was right.
It was the front office. It was ownership. It was management. It was the people who signed the checks who said, no, we're not giving the extra year to Cliff Kingsbury. And I know what Schefter said about the Raiders didn't call. Maybe that's true. I've heard Raider reporters say that's absolutely not true. I'm not in the building. I don't know, but we know that there's a history of Tom Telesco not trading up in drafts. He does not trade up. He is not aggressive. He's a calculator. He lets the board fall to him. He's just going to follow the spreadsheet. That's what he does. And you cannot like it. You could disagree with it, but it got him to where he's at, whether you like it or not, right or wrong. He hit the nail on the head with this past draft class with Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson. We've talked about this draft class before, but I think I really wanted to do a video on Sunday, and it was just so jam-packed because I woke up Sunday and I'm watching all the Raider stuff coming in, right? I'm watching all the reporters working on the weekend, and they're saying this, saying that. They're interviewing the assistant GM in Washington. They're interviewing the assistant GM in Tampa Bay. They scheduled a second interview with the guy in San Diego, the assistant GM. And I go, oh yeah, I don't think Ben Johnson's happening. And the reason why is if you had Ben Johnson in the bag, I actually started drawing the lines that you didn't, because you're looking at other GM coaching pairings. You look at Washington. So the assistant GM there, Lance Newmark, who's the offensive coordinator in Washington now? Like that, you're looking at that connection. Could he bring Cliff Kingsbury to the Raiders as the head coach? You look at Tampa Bay, Spytek. Who's the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay? Cohen. So you start and you look at the general manager at the Chargers. He's actually from Baltimore. He has Baltimore Ravens roots. He's from that Ozzie Newsome tree. Who's the offensive coordinator in Baltimore? Right. So I think what I woke up to is everybody was reading the connections to Ben Johnson, but I started seeing the tea leaves as who are the offensive coordinators that they are connected to. So I think the Raiders actually knew they weren't going to get Ben Johnson by Sunday. I really think they knew, because that's when you heard the ramp up of their interviewing more GMs or bringing GMs back for a second interview. So that was kind of the smoke signal for me that he was out. I was hopeful. I was hoping. But thus is life. This is where you're at. You have to be real with yourself that it's a franchise that hasn't been very good for 20 plus years. Even when Al Davis was alive, the 10 years since the Super Bowl wasn't good. And then he passed, and then the Mark Davis era, like it hasn't been good for a very long time. And players, if you're a player right now, you don't even remember the Raiders ever being good.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a coach, you were a teenager, you were a kid.
There's going to be guys on this team that were not alive the last time the Raiders were in that Super Bowl in 2002.
Or even,
there's going to be rookies, maybe even second year players.
Correct.
Because that was 2002, right? So
you have so much to overcome, and the facilities are beautiful. The stadium is beautiful. I think it's going to work out that it's actually a good hire that you did bring in Tom Brady. You don't get the interview without Tom Brady. So that does give you some cachet. That does give you a little bit of shine to your brand. Like it's doing something for you. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but you have so much to overcome. I think the next best hire, I would not be upset if you did go the Pete Carroll route, because you need somebody in here with instant credibility, instant juice. And I think Pete Carroll, you look at the division, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, and Sean Payton. You think Pete Carroll's going to blink an eye with those guys? Do you think he's going to be truly out?
Dude, the Raiders-Chargers rivalry will be ignited.
Mm-hmm.
Those dudes hate each other.
So I would love a Pete Carroll hiring just to get a program back on track. I'm not saying with Pete Carroll, you're in the playoffs in 2 years, 3 years, but you would have some type of structure, foundation, culture. You don't have that right now. And it would have been great to land the Corvette, the sexy name, which was Ben Johnson. But this is where you're at. I still think they're gonna have a quality. They have options. The options. We did this exercise last week where I showed we read off a list of the candidates that are there's good coaches out there. There's still a good pairing of a GM and head coach out there who can get you some juice into the building. So not all is hope. A little sad, a little disappointing, but
my dad in the chat says, "Don't worry, Sam. He'll be fired within 2 years. After all, it is the Bears."
It is
until we see otherwise. 100% co-signed on that one. You
yeah,
know?
I mean, but you know what? In closing, I did think about this. That I did think that in 2 to 3 years he'll probably be fired because the Bears are going to bear just like the Raider going to Raider. You know? like, but I instantly went to Tom Brady and Michael Jordan. Like Ben Johnson saying no to Tom Brady. Like Brady, I just see him like, and I took it personal. You know? So I do think Brady not getting his way. I do, you know, he's a competitor, and I do think he's, you know, grinding his teeth right now, and he's mulling over options 2 and 3 and what's going to put this franchise back on top. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see.
One more report that Tyler just brought up is in our doc is Kellen Moore is rumored to be the Cowboys' next head coach. What?
Yeah, I mean, he spent, you know, he's cut his teeth with the Cowboys, so
yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, there's other suitors out there. You know, obviously Deion Sanders is thinking that he's going to be the head coach, and it sounds like the Cowboys have said thank you, but no thank you. Kellen Moore, I think, is probably your best option. I think what really bothers me about this whole situation with Kellen Moore, it's not that I don't want him to be a head coach. I think he's paid his dues and has earned the right to be the head coach. If it happens to be with a divisional rival, fine. You know, it is what it is. But Jalen Hurts is now going to go on to his third OC in 3 years. You know what I mean? So, and it wouldn't be an issue if Nick Sirianni called the offense, which he does not call the offense. So do I think that this could lead to something detrimental to Jalen Hurts in his progression of being a better quarterback? Yeah, absolutely. So I hope it's not true. I hope Kellen Moore decides to stick around for at least one more year, but you know, if he ends up going to division rival, it's not like it's a big shock to me that happens. So
right. All right. Also, we are checking in on the Ohio State Notre Dame National Football Championship. Right now, Ohio State just scored a touchdown. They're up 14-7 with about 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. So that game is happening as we're talking. And college football games take for fucking ever. So that game will be finished about 5 hours from now, give or take. I mean, especially a national title game, you got to get all those commercials in, man. You got to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, so that game's going to be happening. Oh, LeBron's at the game. Shocker. It's, you know, Ohio State. He's from Ohio, so it, you know, it tracks. Anyway, with that, I think it's time to move on to our playoff picks. So to recap, we all had the Chiefs. The Chiefs ended up winning. We all had the Lions. The Commanders ended up winning. We all had the Eagles. The Eagles won. And then the Ravens and Bills game, I had the Bills. You two had the Ravens. I was right. So that means that's 2 weeks in a row where I have one extra game correct over the two of you. So I had 3, you had 2. And for our points, if you get one right in the wild card round, meant 1 point. Division round is worth 2 points. Championship weekend, that is worth 4 points, and the Super Bowl is going to be worth 8 points. And then we have our bonus for preseason picks. Tyler, you lost the Ravens on yours, so you still have the Eagles though, and you have them winning the Super Bowl, so you're still alive for 10 possible bonus points. Sam, you had the Chiefs losing to the Niners, so you could still get 5 bonus points, and I had the Dolphins and the Niners like an idiot. So I'm locked out of bonus points. So whatever I get right is what I get right.
Who did you have again?
The Dolphins and the Niners. What an idiot. His brain kept me from being able to at least have a shot at it, man. Damn. Anyway, but I'm doing all right. I've only missed one each week so far, with, you know, several games. Now we're down to only two games though, so it's going to be important to get them both right. And that being said, so Sunday, 12 o'clock Pacific time, Commanders are going up the I-95 to take on the Eagles. I assume Tyler's going to pick the Eagles here.
Yep.
Yeah, Sam, how about you? Are you picking the Eagles or are you going with the upset?
I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, so am I. So we're all in agreement here. We're all hoping that Tyler is happy. My dad in the chat says he's seeing Bills Commanders in the Super Bowl. That would be chaotic as hell. All right,
so a rookie quarterback has never made it to the Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, that's
ever.
ever. Okay,
And I'll be honest with you. Now that the Ravens are no longer in this, I'm picking the Chiefs to be the matchup here, and the reason being is I feel like they're more beatable than the Bills in a head-to-head matchup. And the only reason why I say it is because Allen can run, and I'm not seeing Mahomes being that crazy good at running. Like, you have to definitely game plan for Allen.
Well, half of the Chiefs' losses this season came to the Bills. That's
right.
So of the 2 losses, one of them was the Bills. So, I mean, and that's part of the reason why I am picking the Bills. I'm going to go with the Bills instead of the Chiefs. So the Bills put a stop to the nonsense.
Well, I also
for
want
one
the
goddamn year.
Well, I want the
I'm
rematch.
picking the Chiefs because that's, to win this this little game here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad if the Bills eliminated the Chiefs. Like who? I think everybody wants this era to end. We're sick of the Chiefs.
Yeah. It's 7 years in a row in the AFC title game. They're going for their 4th Super Bowl in 5 years, 6 years, I think, because it was 2000 and then the last 2. I mean 2020 and then the last 2.
I would also, though, I mean, we give Patrick Mahomes a lot of shit for what he does.
Being great.
Yeah,
for bending the rules, right?
For being an all-time great, yeah.
But Allen does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not as egregious as Mahomes. So both of them can be pretty annoying. I just want the rematch, man. I think that's what I want. Right. I want the redemption.
I think when Allen runs the ball, he's like trying to plow through guys. He's not stutter stepping and like trying to get a penalty. He's just like, I'll just get the extra yard. I'll just get it.
But he does the same out of bounds bullshit where he, slows up or
they all do that.
Yeah, I mean, but Allen is also bigger, so like anytime anybody puts a hit on him, it doesn't work quite as well as so he's just a bigger, stronger guy. It's tougher to take those guys down.